So good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us, and thanks to our partner, JP Morgan, for hosting this amazing venue today. It's an amazing place. I suggest that you take many pictures. So very excited about being here, specifically because I will have the opportunity to have a conversation with a person I have a lot of admiration. A person I consider is a luminary in the AgTech industry, Jorge Heraud. Jorge brings extensive experience from his work at Trimble, Blue River Technology, and as the former Vice President of Innovation at John Deere. Jorge has delivered significant innovations by integrating technology and agriculture. Some notable examples are See and Spray Ultimate, which is an AI-enabled farming solution, and the autonomous tractor, which many of you maybe have seen in CES a couple of years ago. Jorge is sitting in different boards of different startups and companies, but recently has joined the board of AgTonomy. AgTonomy is a company that has a mission to accelerate the transition to sustainable farming. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming Jorge Heraud.
Thank you. You want me here?
Let's sit here. So Jorge, thanks for your time. I know you changed your agenda to be with us today. So I met you in 2016, more or less, here in Silicon Valley, and Jorge was an entrepreneur, a founder at that point. Tell us about your story, right? You've been a founder, an entrepreneur, an executive, a board member. I mean, why did you get into AgTech, and how did you get to this point in your career?
Yeah, no, so maybe first, thank you very much for having me here. I'm Peruvian, so I had, my grandfather was a farmer. My dad was a PhD from Stanford, working in automation. So I kind of had those two things that normally don't cross very much, right? Automation, high tech, and agriculture kind of coming. So I joined, anyhow, came here to the States to study. I went to Stanford, finished my master's, and ended up having some choices on where to join. And I was intrigued by this company, Trimble Navigation, that was bringing high tech and technology together. They were mostly around using GPS. So ended up doing that for about 15 years. I ended up being the head of engineering for Trimble, head of precision agriculture, the GM for Trimble Navigation. And anyhow, had transitioned from being mostly an engineer to being more in the business side. One of the things I wanted to do is go back to school, and I did that, and went to study an MBA. And when I was doing that, I was looking for, hey, what are the new opportunities? Let's see if I can find a good startup idea. I was always intrigued by startups. And as all aspiring entrepreneurs, you want to have a really good idea to be passionate about. I was lucky enough that I took some classes in engineering to kind of be inspired. And I ended up taking the machine learning class, AI class, in 2010. Anyhow, it was a small little group of
Crazy engineers.
Crazy, nerdy engineers, right? I was one of them, so I fit right into it. And they were dreaming about big. So I thought the opportunity of doing something with AI was huge. I thought that the impact that AI was going to be having was huge. I wasn't thinking as much about search. I was thinking more about robots and vision and things you could do, which is another big part of the revolution that I see coming from AI. So I started a company that looks at every single plant in the field, right? And now you can go at around 15 miles per hour on that, and it sprays only the weeds as opposed to spraying everything. Since you're not spraying everything, you save a lot in herbicides. You use only about 1/3 of the herbicides you would normally use, and that's a lot of savings.
And it's good for the planet also.
It's good for the planet. It's good for the consumers. So those, right, you buy crops that have been grown with less herbicides. So anyhow, that's the story. That's how I started that, and AI took off. Luckily, I was right on that, and sustainability is a big driver. And now John Deere has sold over 1,000 of those machines. They cost anyhow, they're making a lot of good money there.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. How was your transition? Many colleagues here are entrepreneurs or founders or investors. How was your transition from being an entrepreneur and actually getting into John Deere?
Yeah, so I run Blue River for about 6 years until we were acquired. So we started in 2011. We were acquired in 17, and I became first. It was the CEO of the subsidiary, right? Continuing to do what we wanted, but after a couple of years, things were going really well, and John Deere wanted to double down on this area. So became the vice president of automation and autonomy. Rolled up a lot of things under me, internal efforts. We ended up acquiring 3 different companies to help us accelerate. And it was very, very fulfilling, but a lot of very different too from being an entrepreneur, right? I felt more like an executive I was an executive at a 80,000 person company, which is very different from being the CEO and founder of a little startup. So anyhow, I enjoyed it and liked the impact, but I ended up leaving 2 months ago to try to get back to working with a fast-paced world of entrepreneurs and innovation, and being a little bit more directly contacted, as opposed to and being an executive at a company like John Deere. I remember my boss telling me it's a little bit like steering a cargo ship, right? You can have a lot of impact and bring a lot of good to the world, right? If you take it, but it's not. It's mostly about that staying the course is the most popular thing you do, right? You do little changes, little tweaks, right? Make sure you're not going to hit any bridges, right? That's the main concern that you have, but it's very different from a startup.
I can imagine. I can imagine, Jorge. So in the last, I would say, few years, we have seen some drop in funding from VCs, specifically affecting AgTech companies. How do you see that evolving? What challenges, opportunities do you see? You're an innovator. You have a big vision for the industry. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that's indeed true. I think it's agriculture is cyclical. We were talking a little bit about commodities, commodity trading. We have commodity trading. We have some expertise here in the room. It's cyclical. Agriculture goes through, for example, corn prices were $7. Now they're $4.10, right? So if you get that amount of impact, right, that means that your revenue just got slashed. Your costs stay more or less the same. So you go to this happens statistically about every 7 years. And we're going through a cycle, and we're going to go to the other side of it. I think that the area of AgTech is still super strong. The capabilities, especially in technologies that are new, like robotics to agriculture, or big data for agriculture, they're very strong place. The technology is getting so much faster. I remember when we started, even 5 years ago, the capabilities that those NVIDIA processors have is like 1,000 times more than 5 years ago, right? It's been more than doubling every year. So anyhow, it's been the algorithms. We didn't have 5 years ago. We didn't have a ChatGPT. We didn't know what a Gen AI was, right? We had barely created convolutional neural networks. It's the software is advancing, the hardware is advancing, the capabilities of robotics are going way up, and that means that things that were before kind of barely possible now are easily doable by small teams, very fast teams. I've seen a lot of companies that are in the cusp of having this very very big scale ups. We're at the stage of that we're ready to scale. So I think it's an interesting time, we're about to hit that inflection point is my prediction.
The best is yet to come, right?
Yeah, the best is yet to come, and I think and not only that, but it's about to come right now, right? It's because Yes, sometimes you can have a good idea that will be good someday, but I think we're really at the scale-up stage.
Good. So let me ask you a question that maybe the audience here is interested. Many of us invest in companies, right? And you've been on the seat of the entrepreneur, the founder. If we need to invest in an AgTech company, right? What things we need to look at?
Yeah, several things come to mind, but the companies that I like are companies that are solving real problems. It's very easy for technology people to come into ag and I don't know, not understand anything about ag, but have a good technology, and they're nail looking for a problem, or the same solution doesn't work everywhere, right? Just because AI is important, that doesn't mean that every AI company is good. Just because AI or robotics fits in ag, that doesn't mean that. So I would look for companies that have real agricultural understanding, right? That the founders have taken, either are authentic or have taken the time to become authentic into the problem they're solving, as opposed to somebody that's just trying to bring something from another industry and hoping it'll catch. So that would be super important. The other element of that is looking for traction, right? Having things that are working and customers that are excited. Agriculture is one of those areas that is not like a B2B where marketing plays a big role of it, right? Obviously, marketing plays a role too in agriculture, but farmers understand their trade, and they will not they will get excited only if it's something that is providing real value. So that's probably the biggest thing I would add. Then on top of that, quality of the things that you would look in any startup, right? Quality of team, track record, I think is very important. Size of market, anyhow, all those things. But I would look this domain expertise in
has to be part of
has to be super big.
Excellent. Well, thank you. So I'm going to ask you one more question, and then maybe we open for questions from the audience. You're now sitting at the board of Autonomy, right?
Yeah.
What does excite you about them? What?
Yeah. There's several things that I think are going to be big in agriculture, and especially in the area that I am in AgTech. And one of them is automation, right? It's making tractors be driverless. I think that in the future, in the next, I don't know, 5, 10, 20 years, basically all tractors, all agriculture is going to be done autonomously because the capabilities are here, right? Anyhow, we don't have. There's no good reason for this not to happen.
Less risk also, right? That if you're thinking about the
labor is a big, relative to cars, for example. You don't have to. The problem is simpler, right? You don't have to. If you think about autonomy, right? You don't have to be contending with pedestrians. There's no pedestrians there in the middle of an ag field. There's no stop signs. There's no bicyclists. There are no
scooters.
So and also you're not driving at 60 miles per hour, right? So you see something, you stop, and if you stop, that nobody's going to rear end you, right? If you see a passenger, you don't have to try to swerve around them, right? You just stop. You're going typically at 5 miles per hour, 8 miles per hour, and you can stop in about 2 feet. So it's the problem is a lot simpler. So anyhow, autonomy is going to be huge in agriculture, and the company that I like is Autonomy, and that's what I've known them for a long time. And the technology they're using is they made a lot of technological choices that were the same ones that I was making, because and I frankly think that they're the best. And they make a lot of technological great choices. The team is super strong, experienced founder. The founder is a farmer. He owns a farm and is using and testing this on his farm. So it's all the elements that I like, right? Great big market, agricultural understanding, great team, experienced entrepreneur.
Everything is in place.
I think they're destined for great things. They also have, I would add, a great partnership with a manufacturer of tractors. So I think they have a lot of things going on for them. They have their product is really well liked by the customers. They have like 20 units that they're doing, and they're about to scale up, which is a good example of what I was saying.
Yeah, absolutely. So we go in for a couple of questions from the audience, but my wife is from Peru. She asked me to ask you a question. Tiradito or ceviche? You need to choose.
Ceviche.
Okay.
I'm old school. I don't know how many of you guys would agree with that. Nothing against the tiradito. I'm a little bit old school here.
Okay, well, thank you. So questions here.
Yeah, so I grew up in Salinas, California, a big ag region just south of here. I'm curious to hear your opinion on how the AI boom, the AgTech innovation is going to disrupt a lot of the immigrant farm laborers and the local communities like in the Salinas Valley that depend on that money.
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. I think that what is happening, technology and ag technology has been changing the world, right? It used to be that, for example, bankers, all the banking was done by going to an office. Now, almost all the banking is done by going to your app in your phone, right? Or worst case, going to the ATM, right? It's industries. Technology has had a big impact on industries, and agriculture is the same, right? It used to be that about at the beginning of 100 years ago, about 40% of the U.S. population was involved in agriculture. Now it's less than 1%. So it's part of a trend, and I think that that trend is going to continue to happen. And I think that robotics and autonomy are going to be one more move in that trend. I think that what is going to happen is that we're going to be solving a lot of what we're going to be doing is solving a lot of the labor crunch issues, right? You guys have seen what is happening in the border and around immigration. The ability for farmers to recruit labor is the appetite for labor is really high, and Salinas is one of the places where this is happening, right? They're building housing for temporary workers to come over, and there's all these visas, and there's all this. It is creating a lot of geopolitical instability because the labor is just not there, right? People would rather, I don't know. It's very hard to find enough labor. So I think what not only in ag, but in society, right? What is going to happen to our jobs? And I remember in the joke that in the cartoon was it going to take our jobs? I think that I think what we need to do is figure out what the role of humans is in this new world, and how can machines help and augment and make humans more productive, and what is the role? But I think that in general, that is one of the challenges that society has. Is finding ways of training, relocating, repurposing. It might be that the skills that are around, I don't know, picking berries or driving a tractor, right? It might be that those things are better suited, safer for a human, for a machine to do rather than a human. And let's find what to do with those people.
Okay, so let me check time. One more question. Okay, he's staying for lunch, right?
Yeah.
So okay.
So I just got a quick question. Ramsey's from Neurable. What are areas where you think in AgTech we are still going to need people? Because I want to make sure I don't invest in those, like on the AI side. So where are we still going to need people versus where do you see AI coming in, whether through autonomy, for example, taking those types of jobs?
Yeah. So that's a great question. I think it depends on the timeline. Right, if you're thinking, you ask me today versus in when are we still going to need people in 5 years versus we're going to need people in 50 years. I think it's a little bit my answers would all be different. I think that for a long time, fruit picking is going to be an area where humans are still needed, right? I don't know if you've seen this, but there's some robots that, for example, can pick strawberries, right? They go right. Okay, yeah. Someday, yeah, that'll be faster than a human, right? Someday that will be a good idea, and it will be, right? Again, if you're talking about in 5 years or 50 years, within 50 years, yes, robots will get the strawberry picking. But if you're telling me today, all this housing that is being constructed is to bring more labor to pick the strawberries. And it's a big problem because strawberry, it turns out, is now a worldwide commodity, right? You can produce it in here, you can produce it in Mexico, you can produce it in anywhere in the world, and you can ship it here and refrigerate it and get it. So strawberry is moving away from strawberry picking strawberry industry is moving away from the U.S. because of these issues of labor. So fruit picking would be a good answer for me. It's going to take a long while for those robotic arms to be fast, and they're getting faster, but it'll take a while.
Jorge, thank you very much. And
I'll be at lunch. I'll be for sure here at lunch, and happy to chat with everybody.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
thank you, Jorge.
Thank you.